Hold on. When was the last time I watched Songwa the Chinese Siamese Cat? Well, speaking of Siamese Cat, I haven't watched Songwa the Chinese Siamese Cat for a bunch of days. I haven't watched Songwa the Chinese Siamese Cat for days. I didn't watch out October or November or December or January or February or April or May. I haven't watched Songwa from a long time ago. Well, I'm starting to like Songwa, the Chinese Siamese cat, because she's so cute. Well, last time I might have accidentally turned Songwa, Dongwa into paper puppets, where I said, and then Songwa and Dongwa and Shigwa says, "Hi, Mrs. Anna." Then I said, "Hi, Songwa. Hi, Dongwa. Hi, Shigwa." And just like that when I said, "Hi, Shigwa," then Shigwa asked, "Hey, Anna, what are you doing?" Where I said, "Well, I was trying to make my paper puppet to look just like me." Then Shigwa asked, "Really? Can we see?" That's where I said, "Of course, sure." And then Songwa and Dongwa says, "Ah!" And then Dongwa says, "What's that?" That's where I said, "Don't be scared, Dongwa. That's just my paper puppet. It kind of looks a bit scary, but it kind of looks like an ogre." Then Shigwa says, "Ha, Hannah, your puppet kind of looks like an ogre." That's where I said, "I know, right?" In the just like that when I said, "I know, pretty funny, right?" And then Shigwa says, "Yeah, it is kind of funny." That's where I said, "Yeah, me too." Then I said, "Well, let's just fix this problem." Then I said, "Okay, guys, let's fix this puppet." And then Shigwa says, "I know how to fix your puppet. A little bit of some glitter." Then I said, I don't know. Now it kind of looks like a sparkly ogre wearing a tiara." Then Shigwa says, "Yeah, it's funny, right?" I said, "Yeah, I know, but we need a bigger plan." And then Songwa says, how to fix your puppet? In the just like that when Songwa says, how to fix your puppet. Then Songwa asks, "Anna, I know a plan." Where I said, "What is it, Songwa?" Then Songwa says, "Well, your puppet kind of looks just like your tablet." Where I said, "That's true." Then I said, "Songwa, you're right. It kind of looks just like my tablet. What if I use my spell? Then the puppet will look just like me. Let's do it." Then Songwa, Dongwa, and Shigwa says, "All right." And then I said, "Magic, magic, make this puppet look just like me." Then I said, "Wait, that's not right." I said, "Uh-oh." Then I said, "Shigwa, look out." Then Shigwa said, "Songwa, Dongwa, look out." And then Songwa says, "Watch out, Dongwa." Then Songwa and Dongwa says, "Ah!" And then I said, "Well, I guess the spell didn't work, right, Shigwa?" Then Shigwa says, "Yeah, Songwa was right." That's where I said, "I know, right, Songwa?" Then I said, "Songwa, Dongwa?" Then I asked, "Oh no, I made them disappeared." And then Songwa says, "No, you didn't. We're down here." Then I said, and then Dongwa says, "Well, that didn't work." And then I asked, "My puppet tablet turn you into?" And